Welcome to another edition of the Two World Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jacob, and I have with me today my other co host, who is.
I am Barney.
And Barney and I are looking forward to sharing with you a list of fun discussion starter questions that we enjoyed back when Barney was visiting here in Ohio. We went out for a meal, and we made reference to this in one of our earlier episodes and had a lot of fun going through these discussion starter questions. And so today we're going to be going through those, and we hope that you have a fun time with us as we enjoy these quirky and unusual approaches to reflecting on our lives. So just to get us started, Barney, what is the first question that you have?
Yeah, so from the list of 25 questions that we have, that we won't go through all of them today, but I thought let's start off with Jacob. I'm curious, how is it that you like your eggs?
Oh, that's a great question, Barney. I'm I like over medium. I just love that it's you can still take your fork and squish in the yolk, and some of the runny yellow part of the yolk comes out, but yet it's cooked enough that I feel it's safe to eat. And I still think it's yummy. So yeah, how about for you?
Oh yeah, if I'm having either with toast, either in breakfast with toast, or maybe especially at supper with like having kind of like a rice bowl and then with an egg on top. Yeah, I agree. Over medium is great. Some at our house, we the kids like theirs that way too, with their eggs in a nest. And but I have to check with them if they want a runny yolk, but for some reason, instead of saying runny yolk, it transferred in our household to a river yolk. So they want to know if their yolk is like a river coming out. So that's how it is for us.
Oh, I like
But I
that.
like I like a good poached egg too.
Well, that's yeah, poached eggs are quite good. Yes, for
Hmm.
sure. I could get behind that. I like
Hmm. Yeah.
that. All right. Well, switching gears a little bit,
Hmm.
what breed of dog would you be?
Oh yeah. Um, I've always thought that like the dogs at our house are probably like the luckiest dogs. There's plenty of place to run around and whatnot, and but they always have a nice home to come back to and good food. But thinking of breeds of dogs, I might be. I wonder if I would, because I'm thinking I'd probably be like I wouldn't be able to be as playful as a golden retriever. I don't think, but I think I'd be playful, but kind of along a work dog kind of way. So I wonder if I might be like a lab of some kind. Like if you need me to do something for you, something specific, like get that duck out of the water, I'm your man. So, but if you want me to just hang out around the house, I can do that too, or play with the kids. I think that's probably who I would be. How about yourself?
Oh, I like that answer. Well, it's so funny that you mentioned golden retriever because that's what I would say because we had a golden
Yeah.
retriever, and what I loved about him is was his capacity to relax and just be, to exist. There was this famous movie from years ago called The Big
Oh.
Lebowski. And there was this
Oh,
quote in there,
uh-huh.
the dude abides. And we used to say that of our dog all the time, like, oh, he just abides. He's just there relaxing, uh, lying on the floor, very low stress or concern. And I would like to live in that way. We
Uh,
have another breed for a dog right now, a collie. And I grew up with
hmm.
collies and thought, oh,
Hmm.
it'd be neat to have a collie as an indoor dog
Hmm.
because
Mm.
our dogs are indoor dogs now. And when I was growing up, they were outdoor dogs. But boy, oh boy, the collie is a work dog and is quite focused on the environment and always vigilant of going around and
Uh-huh,
checking
uh-huh.
things out and seeing if there's more work that they can do. And I would not want to be a collie.
Anything at all that you need
I'm
me to
just
do.
not that industrious
No.
and wanting to be on all the time like that. But
Yeah,
anyway.
good point. Yeah.
Uh,
Nice. Yeah. All righty. Okay. Now, ah, okay. If you could hang out with any cartoon character, and we'll expand the definition of cartoon to include video games as well. Um, even though it's technically different, who would you choose to hang out with, and why?
oh my goodness. I'm so glad that you expanded it to video game characters. I probably if it had been cartoon characters, I was going back and forth between one of the Transformers,
Mm,
maybe Hot Rod. I don't know if you remember Hot Rod from the Transformer movie,
mhm.
but one of the young characters was hanging out with him, and he would take the boy fishing, and then he would drive, and the little guy would get in him as a car and ride around. I think that would be fun even as an adult. But or I thought of Lion-O from Thundercats. Because it could be like, show me how your sword expands, and he could be like,
Uh,
thunder, thunder, thunder. But if you say video game characters, probably either Mario or Mega Man. I think Mario, it
mm,
would be fun just because he could take me around the world and show me
mhm,
all of the hidden
mhm.
nooks and crannies and things to do. But Mega Man, I would love to see how he absorbs powers and changes them. And then if I was in his world, maybe he could show me how to absorb things. And it'd be fun to fly on his
Yeah,
little
yeah, 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 yeah.
dog companion
Oh
Rush.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm sorry I gave you four answers, but if you want me to boil it down to one, I'll just say I'll go with Mega Man probably. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
how about
Oh,
for
that's
you?
nice. Oh yeah. It's funny because I was actually trying to think of a few different ones too. And I was thinking instead of Lion-O, I was thinking of Mum-Ra because I remember thinking as a kid, I was so frustrated with that cartoon because how many times do you have these Thundercats on the ropes and you can't take care of them? Honestly. So,
Well, you know what's interesting is Mumra is one of the few humanoid characters, like because I think he's meant to be a like an Egyptian mummy carried over.
mm-hmm,
And I think
mm-hmm.
Thundercats happens, I think they call it like, is it Third Earth? But it's meant to be like
Uh-huh.
it's like an age, the age of Earth, like I think. And so
Oh.
it's real far in the future, but Mumra's carried over
Mm-hmm.
from the ancient. So you're reconnecting with the human
Oh, yeah, yeah,
element
yeah, yeah. I think
who's
that's what
become
it is. I'm
mummified
trying.
and
Yeah, right. But somehow they just lost that capacity for seeing things to the end there. But-
they forgot, yeah, how to finish.
yeah, right. Yeah. Don't let this guy just magically somehow just cheat you out of your victory.
Oh man.
But but yeah, in seriousness, I think I could Mario was a cartoon too. So Mega Man
Yes.
never made it to a cartoon, but then I would probably choose Link from The Legend of
Link.
Zelda. Yeah, cartoon and game, so
Yes.
and I think that would be neat. I mean, like in all the iterations, Hyrule is so beautiful and diverse with different biomes, maybe the different ecology that they have there. It's so neat and so many different characters that you see, and it would be interesting to chat with the non-playable characters, the NPCs, that only have a few lines, but you could chat with them and like get a little bit more out of them, you know.
Yeah, Barney, I love your answer. I feel like it's so much deeper and more nuanced than my answer of I want to see how a sword grows. You're like I want to look at the biomes and the ecosystems. It's kind of a cooler, like mature thing. And I'm like, how does
I want to
this
bring
feat
my
happen where this weapon miraculously transforms? And then he transforms along with his weapon.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that's great. Well, I don't know if you remember, this is just a side note.
Mhm.
But in Captain and the Game Master,
Oh
he
yeah.
brought together all these different um other Nintendo characters that were from
Mhm.
other video game franchises. And
Mhm.
there was actually a Mega Man character, but he was
Oh.
almost not recognizable because he was real small and his voice was gruff like this. I'm Mega Man. So I could totally understand why most people would not even recognize him as Mega Man because I don't know
Realize
that
that.
they even said
Huh.
it during the cartoon who he was. I think people thought that
Huh.
you'd recognize him, but it was kind of hard to with his how when he talked like that and he was real small.
Yeah, and I would have never, I would have never come away with the impression that he's small either, because like he's the same as Dr. Wiley and
Yeah,
and if he's a human, a normal human, then Mega Man's the same size as he is. But
I know.
that's an interesting take that they went with for
It was
that.
interesting. And they also did this really interesting take with Simon Belmont's character where he was
Uh-huh.
very vain. He cared about
Yeah,
his
I
appearance.
know.
He would talk like this. I'm
I
Simon
know.
Belmont. Oh, my hair
In
is.
that wavy hair, yeah, I know.
They really, so you would think of Simon being like this really tough, like
Yeah, I mean,
tough as nails, like rough person, but
hi-
he
the world. I wouldn't choose his world because it's just too frightening. You know, everywhere you step, there are monsters. I mean, how- you have to be tough to go in to do this as a living.
and if you go with the cartoon version, he's so vain, he's not going to be any help. He's going to be like, "Oh, I
No,
don't want to
uh,
confront that
every
zombie. I need to do my
not
hair."
not to mention trying having a conversation with him, and it's all me, 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 me.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what is the weirdest food you've ever eaten?
Oh yeah. I think that we probably talked about these like unusual wise, like crickets or worms or, bee larvae, I've had them all, but maybe one of the weirdest and unfortunate foods I had was a combination I did where I took this is not my answer to another of our questions, but I took fruity pebbles and I added Hawaiian punch to it instead of milk. And that was weird and incredibly unfortunate because it was so sweet. It was just really
Oh,
a huge mistake trying to go away from against the rules of breakfast cereal
oh
instead of
man.
using milk. That was a bad choice.
That
That was
I
bad.
could
Yeah.
I mean I could
Yep.
see why your curiosity would have taken you there.
Yeah.
And then I could
You've
see
got
why
to
you would have been
try some of these things every once in a while, but yeah, sometimes the rule is written that way for a reason.
well, that's a good answer.
Hmm.
One time in my early marriage to Katie, when the kids were young, I thought I would get real creative in the kitchen and with the
Hmm.
ingredients that we had. And so I came up with this menu of we had chicken breasts, and I was going to put it in
Hmm.
cream of chicken soup and kind of like cook it that way. And then
Hmm.
I thought, oh, I will like deep fry broccoli, which is a bad idea just in and of itself. Like just cook it normal. And then I thought, and this is the part, I thought I'll take rice and I'll put blueberries and I'll mash the blueberries in with the rice. And I was thinking this will be good. Like I'll be creative. And
Yeah,
so
all right.
I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
the chicken out at the mixture, and then I get
Hmm.
the broccoli that's been fried to a crisp, and then I get the blueberry rice mixture and I put it on plates and I set them out, and then I call people for dinner and they come and they're like, "What is
Oh
this
no.
stuff?" And I'm real pleased with my stuff and I start explaining, and everybody's like, "Ew, this is gross." And then, we take a bite of the the rice
Mm.
with the blueberries and everybody's like, "Ew, that should never
Uh,
happen." So that would be my answer. The rice with the blueberries crushed up and mixed in is just not a good way to go. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Again, like it's the notion of taking two really good things that are nice on their own, but they could be, you never know. Like, I mean, somebody saw a lobster and thought that they could eat it, and that works,
Yeah.
but not
You
all
don't
the
know if you
time.
don't try.
I know. I mean, hey, here's this pig that dug up this mushroom under the ground. Anyone want to
Ah.
go for it? Whoa, this is going somewhere. But for some reason, blueberries and rice and Fruity Pebbles and Hawaiian Punch doesn't work. I don't know.
Who would have thought?
I know. You gotta try though.
Uh,
You really do. Okay, then then piggybacking on my answer then, what is your favorite breakfast cereal?
okay. So can I give the child answer and the adult answer?
Oh yeah, I like
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
young Jacob
Hmm.
really liked the they were called Pops. They were like a
Oh yeah.
yellow
Hmm. Hmm.
puffy
Hmm.
cereal. I just
Hmm.
every time we got those multi cereal packs when we go on vacation, I was looking forward
They're
to
always in there.
the
Yeah.
Fruit Loops and the
Uh-huh.
Frosted Flakes, and most of all those Pops. I really like
Hmm.
those a lot.
Hmm.
But now adult Jacob really likes this um morning berry special K cereal. It's like
Mm.
they're flakes, but they have like freeze-dried strawberries in them. Um
Hmm.
so this red berry, maybe it's
Mm.
red berry morning cereal.
Oh
special
yeah.
K cereal. So yeah, I just love that. I've been having it a lot lately. So yeah.
Yeah.
How about for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I could go on and on from from honeycombs to frosted to the cinnamon toast crunch, but
Was good.
oh
Yes.
yeah, I love that one. But then I guess as a kid, I think like the maybe Cocoa Pebbles
Oh
were
yeah.
my favorite.
That was a good one.
Um I always thought it was neat, like like I always liked the Rice Krispies how they crackled, but I always thought
Yes.
they were so bland.
Yes.
And then
I'm with
every
you.
once in a while I liked to dabble with a small bowl of grape nuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But especially if you could add fruit to them.
Hmm.
But yeah, but Kid Me was about the Cocoa Pebbles or occasionally even fruit and fiber.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did,
But now, yeah, now I think I like so we here we have lots of granolas that have different things in with them like we have a chocolate one with macadamia and almonds in it, which is nice, but I really like I also like this kind of fruit medley granola that we have that has the freeze-dried
oh,
blueberries and strawberries and even pineapple.
that sounds
So
good. Wow.
yeah, I think that's the one that I really like these days. But yeah, cereal,
Oh.
boy, I think both of us could go on and on for
Oh
that.
yeah. Well, do you remember there was a Nerds candy when we were growing up? Did you
Oh
know
yeah.
that there was a limited time they had a Nerds cereal?
No way,
Yes,
no
and it was
way.
quite good. And I
Really?
remember on vacation
Really?
once we had
Oh
that, and I
yeah.
was blown away by that. So, just throwing that out there as another kind of
Yeah.
unique breakfast choice. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
Um, well, maybe on a more recent note,
Mm-hmm.
what is something that made you smile recently?
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about this one throughout my week, and this was just on. I mean, I've had plenty. Today's Saturday. I had plenty of smiles on Saturday, but I was especially thinking on Friday. Um, I teach more in the morning. I teach at a daycare, and the ages are from 0 to 6 years old, 5 and 6 years old. And I was teaching the zero, so 0 to 1 and then 1 to 2. They're two separate classes, but they combine them just for my class. And it's just 15 minutes. And one kid was just crying and crying. And then the teacher was holding him while I'm doing the alphabet, the ABCs. And the teacher, so he's crying, but the teacher says, I go A, and then the teacher goes A, and then he goes A, and then B, and the teacher goes B, B, and so he's crying his heart out, but he's saying the alphabet really well because I don't know if he's 2 yet or not, but it's really amazing that he can do this
Wow.
and while crying. So
You wouldn't
I
think he
just
would put it forth the effort
no,
when he's that upset, but
I know, right?
wow. Oh, the poor little
Yeah, so
guy.
I thought, well, first, it's amazing he can do that, and it's quite cute.
Oh man. Well, I wonder if you'll get to see him again, if he'll be back
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, it's nice. Yeah, yeah, it will be. I'll see him every week, and then
nice.
every year as well. Once you get into daycare, you kind of stay there. So I think that
Okay.
it is kind of fun to see them even from 0 all the way up to finally 5 and 6.
Nice. So you'll probably catch him on some good
Mhm.
days when he
Mhm.
can,
Mhm. Mhm.
be into it and not, yeah, be
Yeah,
conflicted, just feel,
or maybe then he'll just sit there.
oh,
Yeah.
well, that could happen too. Uh, well, for
Yeah.
me, it would be the other night. Hannah was watching Prince of Egypt. She found it on
Mm.
Netflix, and
Hmm.
I could tell she was real into it. And then I was upstairs in my bedroom, and she came in, and she had taken, those clips that they have magnets on them, and they can, hold like notes and things on your
Oh yeah.
refrigerator.
Hmm.
She had clipped clothes around her body to look like the clothes that they wore in Prince of Egypt. And she came in and was doing this dance like the characters in the show. And I just couldn't believe it. She came in and she was really into doing this dance. And I started laughing. And she was like, at first she was and then she's like, are you laughing at me? I said, no, I'm not laughing. I'm
Yeah.
laughing that because what you're doing is so funny.
Uh-huh.
It's great. And
Uh-huh.
then she
Uh-huh.
got into it more, was dancing and it was just like, she is really like, all of her kids are funny, but that was just
Yeah.
an example of like her being really funny recently. So yeah.
What was it a case that like did she come into the room and say, "Hey guys, I want to show you my dance," or did she just come in and start dancing?
Well, normally she'll say, "Hey guys, I want to show you my dance," but
Uh-huh.
this time she just came in. I think that's what caught me off guard. I wasn't even prepped.
You're right.
And
You
then it's
wouldn't.
like you're trying to realize like
Why are
what's
you?
going on. You're like,
Why are you here? And then, what's
and then
happening now?
she had clipped her clothes on, and it was just like the funniest. Yeah. So anyway,
Oh, that's awesome.
uh,
Oh man. Uh, um. Oh, okay. This is fun. Um, what was your first job? Probably, part-time job or whatnot, or even, like unofficial job, like through
yes.
grandparents or something like that.
Yes. So there was a strawberry farm and sheep farm just down the street. And if
Mm,
you want to say first job like outside the home, because when I was
yeah.
young, I had
Hmm.
chores,
Yeah,
but it
sure.
would be this farm. I was in middle
Mm,
school, and the farmer needed somebody to pick strawberries and then to help him do some things with his sheep, like get them their medication and things like that. And so he hired me, and it was a really good experience. I enjoyed it. Um, I was familiar with doing outdoor work already, so just kind of jumped in and learned some fun lessons. Like at one point, we actually did plant strawberries earlier on,
oh, wow.
and so I remember he had this planting tool, and I would ride in the back, and I would put the plant in, and these things would come up and pinch it, and then
Oh,
it was like a
oh,
rotating wheel
wow.
of them, and then it would push them into the ground.
Oh,
And when I
wow.
just got started, I didn't quite understand the instructions, and so we planted a whole
Mm.
row, and I planted them upside down. So I had to go back and dig them back up and replant. And he's like, "You did what?" And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I planted these upside down." But
You
anyway,
did
he was
what?
patient with me, and
Yeah,
we got it
that's
figured
nice.
out. And then my other rows were
Yeah,
good.
which
And
is right. Yeah, right.
but then with the sheep too, there were lessons like that. Like I remember
Mm,
trying to get them in through this like narrow almost like a tunnel that we put them in before the pen, and they would like jam in there together and trying to find them like a way to get
mm,
one at a time. And
hmm.
he had chalk, and once you'd give the medicine to one of the sheep, in orally, through the mouth. I don't know if he
Hmm.
had something he would squirt in their mouth,
Oh,
or if
yeah.
he
Uh-huh.
put, I'm
Hmm.
trying to remember
Hmm.
what it was, but
Hmm.
then he'd mark
Hmm.
them with chalk, and then we would know when we were done with the group
Oh, yeah.
that they
Yeah,
all,
yeah, yeah.
but it was quite an experience. Yeah. How about for you, Barney?
Yeah, my first job was in high school and like outside the house, and it was working at the public library, shelving
Nice.
books, yeah, in the kids department. And it could get, it kind of never ended. It could get a little bit boring. And then like if you didn't have any books to shelf, then you had to shelf read, which would be like to make sure everything is like actually alphabetical order the way
Oh,
it should be.
wow. Wow.
But it was fun. I really liked it, and then I got to like see a lot of books that I hadn't seen before and think, oh, that one might be interesting. If only I weren't in the kids department, where I'm kind of my reading level is a little bit past these books, but and then like I actually then my first year at Marquette, I worked in the science library, and then at Goshen, I worked the library there. So I really
Um,
parlayed that into some a pretty cushy job on campus. But before I worked at the science library at Marquette, my job was driving around people at night
oh,
on weekends.
wow.
So the university understood that sometimes people, hopefully being over 21, got themselves into situations where they needed help, getting home. And then I was part of campus security. I even had like a walkie-talkie and everything. And then so they would radio me and then say, so and so, please go to this place and pick up, five or six or two or three people. And one, there's one time, one time I picked up one of the guys that like I stayed with him when I went for a campus visit. and it was him and three other people, and they're telling a story, and I'm driving, but I'm listening to their story. And one guy suddenly goes, "Hey, this drive is a lot more interesting than your story." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, we're going the wrong way down a one-way street." I was like, "Oops."
Oh man. Oh,
So
that's funny, Barney.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, but that was interesting. But I was glad when I could change to a job that took place during the day.
Okay, sure. That
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, what is your most used emoji?
Hmm. I think I have like maybe a top three. Um, I think so. I think like the third used one is the wink, and then
Oh.
and then number two is the thumbs up, and then I think that probably in my case, like the most used one is like the smile with the little thing of sweat coming down, like the
Okay.
kind of tee hee hee one. So like ooh, I really meant to say this, tee hee hee, one of those kind of things. I think that's probably the one that I end up having to use the most.
Those are good. Those are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I were to do the top three as well, I would probably
Mm-hmm.
say a smiley face.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do the smiley face where the eyes are kind of like this, while they're smiling, just kind
Oh,
of like they're
squinty eye.
laughing. Yeah. Good.
Uh-huh.
Um, uh, and then I use the thumbs up a lot, and then the
Mm-hmm.
heart a lot. Is the heart considered an emoji?
Oh,
I don't know. Is that an
yeah, I think it
emoji?
has to be.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah. So a lot of hearts and a lot of thumbs ups, but then definitely the smiles for laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Mm-hmm.
a smiley
Mm-hmm.
face emoji. Yes, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Um. So um, you had just spoken a little bit about your job. Sorry, I'm doing two in a row, if that's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
That's fine. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
uh, being working at night. Are you more of
yeah.
a
Mm-hmm.
morning person or a night person, do you think?
Oh yeah. Yeah, at that time for sure. When I was in university, I was a night person for sure. I'm sure probably a lot of university students would say that. I remember even one time we played Monopoly until 4 a.m. and like got nowhere. And then we thought, why did we just do that?
I wish we could have those hours of
What
our lives
back?
back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
we could have really chosen a better way to
Uh,
spend that time. But
uh,
now, yeah, I think now a morning person, and so like one thing I don't mind getting over jet lag when you wake up so early. That's one thing that I don't mind about because it's kind of nice when like you have energy and you also don't have an excuse for
mm,
being awake at 4 in the morning.
right,
And
right.
then so like because you couldn't go back to bed anyway. And then so you
Mm,
just have this nice, peaceful time where you're awake and there's nothing else that you could be doing. And then like in Ohio, then in summertime, the sun is not really close to coming up yet. In Japan, the sun's already up.
okay.
Um, but
Ah,
in Ohio, the sun's not coming close up, so you can see it get a little bit light, and then the birds wake up, and then the sun comes up, and that's really really nice. I really like that. Yeah. How about for you?
at my core, I'm a night person, but
Hmm.
for the second half of my life after having children, I've tried to function as a morning person. I'm like an imposter. Like I get up early and try to, be useful and get everything that everybody needs. But like left to my own devices, I've noticed like if I have a weekend and people are like at friends' houses, or if it's like the schedule's different and I'm left up to my own
Hmm.
devices, I will stay up late. That's just kind of deep in my nature. I just love that evening time
Ah,
and into the
oh
night.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stillness at nighttime is also nice.
Oh, it
When
is. It
when
is.
and I do like being up or being out when especially in Ohio, probably I'm not sure how many towns it's so, like when the traffic lights switch to blinking,
Hmm.
and then like you really have this feel that it's just you and this town knows that there's not much traffic, there's not much going along. And then if it's like late spring or early summer and the nights are cool and you can have the windows down, yeah, I like that a lot. Um, let's see. From our list. Oh, um, how about an early memory? What's one of your earliest memories?
Now, I don't know if this is humanly possible, but I have like two very early memories, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know why I think this is a memory. I don't think it can be, but like, uh, is it possible? I can remember. I'm almost embarrassed to say this. I have memories of the hospital where I was born. That can't be, can it?
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. I had just, and I have very early memories too of my mom being down in my room uh, for most of like my childhood. My parents' room was upstairs and I was downstairs. But
Hmm.
when they first came back from the hospital, um, initially my mom stayed down in my room with me, and
Hmm.
then to nurse me at night and things like that.
Hmm.
But then eventually they transitioned me to like a crib, um, and
Hmm.
then it just was my room after that. So, but I have memories from that. Is that possible, or do you think I just saw pictures and the young version of me confused?
Huh.
If we don't count those, if those are
Hmm.
maybe like artificial, like my brain invented those from pictures that it saw. I remember my neighbors driving me somewhere because I it was the first time um, that I remembered like somebody other than my parents taking me somewhere in the car, and one of the
Oh,
neighbor boys was a few years older than me, and I thought he was really neat.
oh yeah.
Um, his name was Liney, and so I was probably about 3 when that happened. So
Uh-huh.
that's probably a
Uh-huh.
legit memory.
Uh-huh.
But the other one others could have been inspired by pictures that I confused with memories. I don't know. So,
Huh. Yeah, it's interesting. I know that Sean and I were researching about memory, and there's a handful of people around the world who like remember every single thing that's ever happened every single day of their lives. And then I happened to say to Sean, I said, I wonder if that means like when they're babies. And he's like, well, look at this video. And like this woman in Australia, she's like, she remembers riding in the car and just, she was a baby and she's saw her dad driving and she thought, I wonder what that thing is, the steering wheel. And then like there was another time she said like her mom put her in a Mickey Mouse shirt, a Minnie Mouse shirt, because her mom thought that she liked it and she hated it because it scared her. And she just cried and cried and cried. And of course, she can't, no one knows why she's crying and she can't tell them that she hates it. So, yeah, maybe, we can still
wow.
hang on to those memories. But um,
That's interesting. You normally
yeah,
would never have a window into why a baby's crying, like
yeah.
on that level. You can think, oh, do
Hmm.
they need changed, or maybe they're
Yeah, because
tired, but you wouldn't.
we don't think that they're processing so much stuff at that time, but yeah, there's definitely emotions attached to their things. But like she said, how she had to go through batteries and batteries and batteries of tests at, I think it was at USC to like confirm that yes, she's not just making it up or she's not just confused, but she really does. She really is one of those people who can remember just like everything from every
Wow.
day. But
Phew.
yeah. In my case, I think my earliest memory, I can't place my age, but I feel like it's two. Um, I I hated baths because I hated having my hair washed. And I remember that I was ready for a bath and my mom was about ready to give me a bath. And I remember thinking, now's my chance. And I bolted from the bath and I ran downstairs and ran outside and ran to the mailbox because that was the furthest I was allowed to go because I wasn't allowed to cross the street. And, and then down the road comes my grandma, my mom's mom. And she like stops the car and she's like, Barney, what are you doing out here without a stitch of clothes on, right? And then I just obediently hop in the car. She drives me up the driveway. I just wish I could remember my parents' reaction to that, but I
Oh
remember
my goodness, that's so
that much.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh, good timing. for your grandma
Mm-hmm.
to go by. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, all right. So we're going to switch gears completely for this one.
Okay.
If aliens landed on Earth tomorrow and offered to take you home with them,
Uh-huh.
would you go?
Oh yeah. Um, have you seen this Nicolas Cage movie?
Knowing?
I'm not sure. And then I'm not sure if I'm getting it confused, but I think that with another movie. I know at least in the movie, like uh like like the aliens know that the Earth is doomed. And so they're calling kids away
Yes. Yeah.
mostly. Yeah,
I think
it's
it's called
that
knowing.
one.
Yes.
Knowing, uh-huh. And yeah, and it did have a real nice end to it, because like finally they realized that the aliens are being benevolent, and then the one kid, has to go and like has this nice, I hope I'm not ruining this movie for everyone, moment with his parents. Sorry, everyone. Watch it anyway, though. But yeah. So, but now, like, if I would only want to go if I could take my family with me.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think I would only want to, yeah. Or if they said, we'll get you back, in the morning, and nothing questionable is going to happen. Just going to, we're just going to give you a tour. We've liked spending time with Earth and on Earth now, and someone told us that you're good at showing people around, so we thought we'd like to show you around. Where we're from, and so kind of a quid pro quo. If that's the case, then yeah, okay, I'll go.
Yeah, I feel like it's a question that requires more information to answer. Like, if the group
Mm.
of aliens is like the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then
Oh
I'll be like,
wow! Oh yeah!
oh,
Oh
like I'd love
man!
to go on a
Yeah!
little
Right!
space
Yeah.
adventure, and you bring me back.
I was
Like,
gonna say, promise that nothing it happens that I'm going to be away for a while.
right,
I don't
right.
have almost any capability. I'm just going to get in the way.
Yeah, but if the aliens are like the predators or something, then
No, no,
I'm
thanks.
like, I don't want you to take me away and then hunt me, like
I'll
on a
pass.
foreign
Yeah,
world or something.
I know. Yeah.
They're like, come with us. It'll be fun.
I know. I'm sensing some vibes here that maybe what's your definition of
I'm
fun?
good. I think I'll
Yeah.
pass.
I've got this dentist appointment in the morning.
Yeah.
I've got to get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
So maybe I just
Thanks for
won't
offering.
go. I know someone down the road might want to
Yeah. Uh,
go. Nice. Um, let's see. For our next one. Okay. We have talked about food a little bit, but I really like this one. I've thought about this one for a bit too. If you had to eat just one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
that's a great question.
Hmm.
I really um I like hamburgers and fries and
Mm.
Coke, but like
Hmm.
when I think about that, like what would happen to my body if I ate that
Mm.
meal for the rest of my life, I can't imagine a more torturous, painful like conclusion to my after so long, like my organs would fail. Like
Oh
so, I
no.
think I knowing that. I mean, if
Hmm.
magically I could eat this meal and it
Yeah, right.
wouldn't
Hmm.
destroy my health, then probably
Hmm.
something like that. But
Hmm.
if it were not the case, then I would probably pick like something like sushi and salad or something like that. Some
Hmm.
or a
Hmm.
nice like chicken
Hmm.
salad with lots of toppings or
Hmm.
no, steak salad with lots
Oh
of
yeah. Oh
toppings. Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh nice.
What about
Oh
you?
yeah. Yeah. Your story made me think of the I used to watch Tour de France as much as I could, and there was a guy who was like advertising, like he came up with the clean bottle, like it opens at both ends, so it's really easy to clean it, and
Oh,
and the announcers were saying how the commentators were saying how he he like he's in the footage when they're up the mountain, so he actually like rides his bicycle up the mountain before the racers get there, and then he
Wow.
runs around in his suit, so that like kind of free advertising. And they're like, oh yeah, he can eat anything he wants because he burns all those calories the next day. So like if that were the case, probably burgers and Coke and fries would be okay if you had that to look forward to.
Well, had you heard about that documentary years ago called Super Size Me?
Ah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, where
Mm-hmm.
a guy ate
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's every
Mm.
day for like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it
Three
was
days or
30
three meals a
days
day.
or yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he
Mm-hmm.
did have major health problems.
Yeah, he
And
really did. Yeah.
so like knowing that,
Uh-huh.
it's like, okay, I couldn't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, what could you
Yeah. But
imagine
then, yeah,
eating?
I have been wavering between um pizza because
Good
I really
choice.
love pizza.
Pizza's
Yeah.
amazing.
And you can have variety of toppings.
Oh yeah.
Um or tacos.
Oh, tacos are
For the same
good.
reason. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
because such a nice mix of flavors. And then I think I landed on tacos.
that's a good one.
Because yeah, I can still remember when like when you probably we have similar backgrounds, like both being from Midwest, like um and like I just have the feeling that when I was really young there wasn't a whole lot of variety to the meals. And then so like when I mean they were all delicious and whatnot, but
Yeah.
like so much so that like when my mom came and she's like, we're having these soft shell tacos tonight, like it really like just changed my whole world
Mm,
that day. Like
wow.
because like
Nice.
whoa, oh man, wow, what is this? Like I can there's all these different ingredients you layer on it and wrap it up and eat it. And then like we would like crisp up the tacos in the shells in oil before him so they're nice and crispy like
Ooh.
that. Yeah. And then now like when I'm more used to a wide variety of flavors, like all the different flavors and variety you can add to tacos now.
Oh
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I think I'd be okay with that.
That's fantastic. Oh man.
Uh-huh.
Well, speaking of little tweaks and things that change your view of a meal, when I was
Hmm.
little, I was able to ask for whatever I wanted for my birthday for the big
Oh yeah.
meal.
Uh-huh. Oh
And
yeah.
I really liked burgers, but I also really
Hmm.
like bacon. And I hadn't had like a bacon burger as such at a restaurant. They weren't
Ah,
real popular or prevalent back
yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah. Not yet, yeah.
but I
Uh-huh.
asked my mom, I said, can I have burgers somehow with bacon? And so she got me like a really nice sirloin steak
Oh
type burger,
wow.
and
Oh
then she
wow.
wrapped bacon around the outside. And when she cooked it, it was like now you'd put it on top, but like back then,
Yeah.
and she used toothpicks to hold it. And then I thought that was a game changer for
Oh
me
yeah. Oh
back
man.
then.
Oh wow. Phew.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh boy. Woo. Yeah, you hit the jackpot with that one. Oh man.
um,
Oh, that's good.
so Barney, do you collect anything?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to think of if I collect things because like I have a lot of hobbies and like I have a lot of things related to those hobbies, but I don't collect anything anymore now that I think of it. Like I have video games and I have DVDs and whatnot, and I like them, but I don't think it's anything like I'm actively like I have to have um from 1 to 10 of something. Um, but I used to collect. I don't know, collect. I used to keep or collect, I guess, but like not so extensively, like hockey cards.
Mm.
And then those were yeah those there's really something fun about those sealed packs and not knowing who you're gonna what card you'll get out of it. Not necessarily that I was ever thinking I'm gonna get some super rare card or a valuable card, but um I just fell in love with hockey when I was I guess yeah, even in elementary school. My dad, I think he had to go to some conference, with something with soybeans or whatnot, or in St. Louis, and he brought me back a St. Louis Blues hat, and then like I just kind of focused on hockey, then on hockey highlights, when they were on the sports shows, um, and then I really got into it when they were finally putting on cable TV. But then before that, I would actually listen to. I could get the Detroit Red Wings games on the AM radio, especially because it's winter, so the AM travels better.
Oh
And then at
yeah.
nighttime, and I would just sit in my bed or in my bedroom and listen to the games when I could catch them. And boy, that was amazing. And then to have these hockey cards and see these different players and yeah, like I remember Craig, my oldest brother, he had a friend who did like I think maybe his job was like selling trading cards, and it was mostly and other things, and it was but Craig said, oh, he's just mostly into like basketball and football and baseball, but he has these hockey cards he doesn't have a use for them. And so I got him. And yeah, like I had like a Paul Correa card from when he was in the minors, and he was a real big player. Like that was a major deal, some of these
Wow.
cards that I got. And it was just neat, especially now to go back and look at those cards again and think about like these players like, oh yeah, I remember their career. And I remember watching them play, and they were always like the middle of the lineup. They weren't the superstar, but it's cool to see these players again. And then of course it was fun to see the stats and whatnot on the back. But I think that was the extent, kind of the extent of anything that probably ever collected. But how about for you?
When I was young, I collected comic books, and then I got
Mm,
to this point in my life where I felt like I had gotten too engrossed in comic book collecting. And at that point, I was also like getting a lot more serious about my faith. And I thought, well, maybe it would be
mm,
good if I made a change. And so actually, I gave away a lot of my collection to my friends
mm,
just to try to like
mm-hmm,
shift in my life.
mm-hmm,
And then
mm-hmm.
as an adult, when conditions were different, and I had children of my own, I thought, oh, it'd be kind of fun to start
Mm-hmm.
collecting comics again. And there was a comic book store in Canton that would have twice a year a $1 comic book sale. Every
Oh,
comic was a
neat.
dollar in this one
Oh,
section of
wow.
the store. And so I
Oh,
would take Mike and Aubrey when they were little, and then eventually Hannah when she was a little older. And it would correspond with free comic book day. So they'd get free comics,
oh.
and then I'd get some comics. And so yeah, I built my comic book collection up again, and now I have them hanging in my basement,
Mm-hmm.
a large number of them, and then some are in a box. But then along the way, I got into collecting video games. I have a lot of retro video games from the Atari era, Atari 2600 and 7800, and the Nintendo Entertainment System era, and Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. So I have a certain amount of those that I like. I'm not quite adding too many anymore because they've gotten so expensive. But if a
Oh.
good deal comes up every once in a while,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'll
Mm-hmm.
add something. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, but the more modern games that I have a lot of things digitally. And
Oh, yeah.
so that's kind of where I've gone. But there are a few physical games I've get for like Nintendo Switch, for example. Like I still buy some of the first party Nintendo games in physical.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
why. It keeps part of that little collecting itch
Oh, yeah.
scratched, so to speak, that I have. But then the rest I tend to get digitally because it's so convenient, just
It really is. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I do have my toys from my childhood. I don't know if you would
Mm-hmm.
consider those as something that were collected, but I get them
Mm-hmm.
out sometimes for my kids, and that's kind of
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
And so I think collecting can be fun, but it can be also, if for me personally, with my personality, something I have to be careful to not get too
Mm.
swept up in, or else
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
like any good thing in excess,
Yeah.
it then
Oh, yeah.
becomes
Yeah.
like a burden. So yeah, but.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. What do you think? Do we have time for a few more?
Sure. I
Okay.
have on my list, I think there's maybe about um, th- three or four more. So I don't know of those if you want to do a couple or not.
Yeah. Why don't we do one each then?
Sure.
Okay. Um, then from me, if you were going to be a late night talk show host, who would your first ever guest be, do you think?
Yes, and this is assuming that I could get them to come.
Get anybody, yeah, right. Uh-huh.
But yes,
Let's say
I
that
think it'd be
that
so fun to have Jack Black on because
that's
sometimes,
cool.
when I have been zany in the past and groups of people, they're like, "Oh, you kind of remind us of Jack Black," and
Mm-hmm,
so I think it
mm-hmm.
would just be so fun to interview him. He has a real fun energy.
Uh-huh.
He he's done such a great job in so many movies, especially the Mario movie as Bowser.
Uh-huh.
I think it'd be fun
Uh-huh.
just to ask him about
Uh-huh.
some of those experiences. And he's,
Mm.
a musician too, and just to talk with him
Mm-hmm.
about his music. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a real treat. So I would pick him. Yeah.
Yeah, I always think that's so neat, like seeing people like him or like Kiefer Sutherland or like um Johnny Depp, who they're actors and they're good at what they do, but then they're also musical.
Mm,
And in Jack Black's case, yeah, oh boy, he's seems like so interesting and such a character too. I think that'd be so neat.
for sure. How about
Um,
for you?
yeah, I know. In my case, again, assuming I could get this person, I think I would just love being able to talk with Barack Obama. I
Mm,
just think
yeah.
he would be so interesting to
Yes.
hear what he has to say and ask him, questions, especially like, what is it like to be the president of the United States,
Yes.
And I'm sure that like it would be very insightful to really hear kind of the back scenes of the behind the scenes kind of thing. But and then especially the number of challenges that he had to
Mhm.
go through throughout his life. And then he always seemed like such a genuine person from to begin with. And I think that would be really interesting to hear kind of his really open opinion and take on things.
Yes, I think the interesting thing about him in particular as a guest is that he has a great sense of humor. So I think you could laugh and
Mm-hmm.
have fun and
Mm-hmm.
joke around, but at
Mm-hmm.
the same
Mm-hmm.
time, he can go really deep and you could talk
Mm-hmm.
about like things of consequence and weightier things too. So that would be a
Mm-hmm.
great, really great
Mm-hmm.
choice. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
excellent. All right. Well, then maybe for our final question, I'll ask, um, what is the best advice that you've ever received?
Yeah. And I remember this one from when we were waiting for our food uh after the zoo. And I still think that I have to go. This isn't really advice that I'd received, but this is really advice that I need. As in, think I mentioned from the book of James where he writes to be quick to listen and slow to speak.
Mm,
You know, that the tongue can really light fires, in a number of senses of the word. And some of them are just too hard to put out. And yeah, like being quick to listen, making sure that you're listening to the other people and also giving yourself time to listen, to hear what the people are saying and let them finish saying what they want to say. It's just invaluable.
mm,
Very, very important advice for me for sure. And yeah, and I've been trying to follow that advice too. I've been trying to make changes in the ways the things that I have around me, the way that I spend my time, making sure that I'm able to give really more attention to the people around me and listen and hear them and make sure that they know that I'm listening and hearing them too and responding and then also hoping that they trust me enough to know that I will listen to you, but there might be a time when I really am busy. And so I can't really listen to you right now. If you'll just wait for a minute
mm.
when I have time. And then I really will sit down with you and listen to what you need. You can trust me for that too. I am you're picking very poor time to talk to me right now. I'm really in the middle of something, but I'm trying to listen to you. And once I'm done with this, I'll stop it and I'll listen to you, the way that we should. So that for sure is really important advice for me.
Wow, that is really great advice. And I think our world in general needs a lot more people practicing active listening because I think that it's something that everybody's hungry for to be heard and to be listened to.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
then so few are committed to that discipline because it takes discipline and dedication to really
Mm-hmm.
focus and listen to a person wholeheartedly. Um, uh, I think of my grandfather. He used to have all these nuggets of wisdom, and if I can just share three
Oh
brief ones,
yeah.
and I'll
Oh
try to be
please,
as
yeah.
quick as I can.
Oh yeah. The more the better.
So when I was young, he used to say, "Friends are like elevators; they either take you up or they take you down." And that was a
Mm,
lesson that actually was helpful in my life at that time because I had some friends who, when I was around, were really encouraging to me. And then I had
mhm,
some who made me feel really badly about myself. And I
mm,
learned through that little saying he gave me how to
mhm,
discern that and to put up boundaries for those friends who were taking me down and maybe even at times distance myself or disengage with those friendships and then
mhm,
really try to focus in more on those that were constructive and life-giving.
mhm, mhm,
I know that's complex and complicated, and there's a lot of
mhm,
nuance to that, but that was really helpful to me. Another one
mhm.
was he said, Jacob, in life, we don't need a confrontation. And he took two fingers going head on like that. We need a
Mhm.
carefrontation where you come alongside, not going head to head
Ah,
direct, but you need to come
uh-huh.
alongside, and that's what makes a difference. And so for
Ah.
our YouTube video watchers, you would have understood what I just did there visually. But for those who are listening, when I in this expression, my grandfather would point two fingers together for the
Mhm,
confrontation, and then for the
mhm.
carefrontation, he'd take those fingers and put them parallel to one another. And he said,
Side by
"That's what we're
side, yeah.
striving for in life." And I think that's so true.
Ah.
And it's really helped me in ministry is to ask the question like, am I conveying to this person that I care about them? Not that I want to beat them or that I want to win,
Mhm.
but have I conveyed to them that I want to come alongside of them because I care
Mm.
about them? And
Mhm.
that's a really important question, and
Mm.
it's been very helpful for me in ministry and
Mm.
in life in general. Um,
Mhm.
and then the final one he would say is, "How is my now?" And he was very
Mm.
impacted by the 12-step program.
Oh, yeah.
He was plugged into the Al-Anon program, which was for the family members of alcoholics. And because his spouse had struggled with alcoholism for a season of her life. And so he went through Al-Anon to get support. And he used to ask that question, how's my now? He said, I want to live one day at a time. And then he would even push it out past that, like 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time.
Mm.
And then when he was really being granular, 1 second at a time. But
Mhm.
his point was like the present moment is where our focus should be and our tension should be, and living in the moment and being present to those around us, and which is a
Mhm.
really deep life lesson. And
Mhm.
it also
Mhm.
keeps you from borrowing trouble from the future or being
Mm.
overly hard on yourself and looking back to the past. I mean, you do have to, you know, think forward about certain things and, be aware of certain things from the
Yeah.
past and to improve them. But like living in the moment is so important and valuable. And so, yeah, those were some of the greatest lessons I've ever heard. And they were from
Mhm.
my grandfather.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. I can see how those really, and those and probably a whole host of other ones really had a lot of impact on you. Especially the first one, like when you're young, you don't really think about your friends, or you don't really recognize that maybe that's not me, maybe it's them. And then it, hearing someone else point this out, that yeah, people are different. The way that they respond to us is different too. It gives you permission to understand that maybe I need to be thinking about this relationship in a different way, and it's not wrong to do that. And but if without that buttress, without that kind of scaffold to know that it's okay, you might stick in some kind of situation like that isn't so good for you. And wow, wait, that must have been just what, like you said, it was just what you needed to hear at the right times. And it's great that it's something that can stick with you.
yes.
And it's catchy. And so yeah, you can really recall it when you need to. And that's nice. Yeah. And I'd never heard any of those either. So it's not like something that he was just repeating that we've all heard, not some platitude. It's just really well put, the way that he took those ideas and put them into action, having some action to them, or some real, making them really concise. That's very nice.
Thank you, Barney.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, and we would like to thank all of you for joining us on this really interesting episode. And boy, I wish that we could just like call all of you, or like give some poll and hear some of your answers to the questions that we went through today, because it would be so neat to hear all of you listening along or watching along, what you guys think about how you would answer some of these questions. How do you like your eggs? Um, but yeah, if you see us, if you're into us, if you leave a comment of other questions that you think might be fun for us to answer, that would be really fantastic. And Otherwise, if you're just along to hear what we have to say week by week or episode by episode, and we have to say, we are so thankful for you joining us and going on this journey with us. And we hope that you, as we are looking forward to the next episode. And for the Two World Podcast, I'm Barney with Jacob, and we will see you again next time.